You're listening to Sweet Bites with Sandra with your host, Sandra Colton Medici. Tune in every Thursday to satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth. Follow on Instagram at Sweet Bites with Sandra Podcast and Sandra Colton Medici. You can also join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Sweet Bites with Sandra. Hi, I'm Sandra, and I'd like to invite you to subscribe and listen to my new podcast, Sweet Bites with Sandra. Satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth in each episode, full of digital business tips, inspiring interviews, asides from my entertainment career, and rewards to celebrate your sweet success. Find Sweet Bites with Sandra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. To Sweet Bites with Sandra. My name is Sandra Colton Medici, and I am so excited to be joined by one of my favorite people, Shannon Bex. How are you doing out there in Oregon?
I'm very good. Thank you. It's so wonderful to see you.
I know. Well, it's been a long time. And Danity Kane, you would know Shannon Bex if you remember her dancing. I think it's for the Portland Trailblazers way back when. Then you remember Shannon Bex, but you probably know her most these days by something that she's doing in the business arena that has to do with kids, and that's called Vooks. So tell us a little bit about this new venture, because it's relatively new, and how you got started with it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Vooks is actually, it's a streaming service for children's storybooks. We're the first of its kind. And what we do is we license content from publishers and rights holders, and we bring books to life. It's the actual storybook, and we do the illustrations and the font and text. Everything is exactly like you would read a book, but it has slight animation, it has read aloud, read along text, which help with focus and literacy. And yeah, it's kind of a guilt-free screen time because a child is actually reading a book. We call it chocolate covered broccoli. They don't really know it's good for them.
Nice.
And it's not to replace, story time with your parents or your grandparents, but it does offer an avenue for parents to choose a better screen time than YouTube or just an animation or a full length feature film. These are average of 7.5 minutes long, and the desire for us with books is just to inspire the love of reading and create lifelong readers and kids.
Nice. Well, so how did you get into this business? Because you don't have kids, number one, and
No, I
I'm
don't.
assuming that this is your baby anyway. So anything that you can take away from being in the spotlight and say, put it into your business, any kind of like tips or tricks, because I know that a lot of people who listen to the podcast are also maybe in the entertainment side or maybe new people to business, so new business owners. So what can you say you've taken from the performance and entertainment side and kind of like put right into your business?
Absolutely. I have a lot of little nuggets of information. And I'm constantly discovering that myself. Here I came from the entertainment industry as a platinum touring recording artist, and never did I dream I'd be venturing into something like this, which actually I co-founded this with my brother and one other business partner.
Okay.
And my brother has 3 kids. So that's where the idea started to spur from. His oldest loved to read, and his youngest couldn't stand it. He's like, but she finishes videos, so how can we make a hybrid? Like, how can we get her excited? So, and we officially launched in 2019. So I was transitioning kind of away from the touring and trying to transition into this leadership role at Vooks, where my job is to handle all of the procurement and licensing. So I negotiate the deals, which is very similar to when music was physical sales were going away and streaming was becoming popular, and that finding that rhythm for the music industry took a good 15 years to find their cadence. And the publishing industry, surprisingly, is kind of facing that same turmoil of meeting the customer where they want to be met. And they're used to subscription models, they're used to their tablets, they're digitizing everything. So not replacing books, but making sure we don't miss that generation. Being distracted by digital is kind of the main goal here. So for me, I jumped right into this as one of the co-founders into investor meetings, into pitches to get funding for it. So I'm sitting in front of boardrooms of very established business people. I have to admit, working for Diddy definitely prepared me for those intense drop of the hat questions and moments. But you also had to educate yourself before walking in on what the heck you're even talking about. You know, CAC, customer acquisition cost, ROI, return on investment. Like you
Mm-hmm.
also had to prime yourself with language, so you really understood what was the banter that was happening and the importance of churn and stickiness in the market and all these, you know,
Retention and
retention. Yes.
yes,
Um,
retention.
and so,
Wait, I have to interrupt you really quick. Did
yeah.
you call Diddy for advice?
Oh, no, 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 no. I got enough lessons from Diddy. I'm good. Hey, you know, he always treated me well. He always respected me. He always said I had a head on my shoulders and
Mm.
and he trusted me. And
Yeah.
I think those moments built that, you know, level of, okay, I can walk into this freaking penthouse in San Francisco and pitch to this VC firm, venture capitalist firm. So
Yeah.
it's just that roller coaster of the unknown of the industry, even getting on stage, as you know, and is the music going to play? Is the system going to go out on me? How am I going to hold an audience attention for the next 5 minutes? Of being a performer, thinking on your feet, not really letting them know when you're sweating, don't really tell it on your face. All those things add up to just, I think, that they helped support me when I walked into this room and this world. And also being a female co-founder for a company it's pretty rare too. So that alone set me apart. So I just, yeah, embraced it, um, soaked in all the wisdom I could, but definitely relied on my cat-like skills
Reflexes.
that you have to get in this
Yeah.
business. Even on interviews, you know, you don't know what, you know, questions gonna fling at you, and then how to flip it to where they're getting what they want, but they're not necessarily getting the whole thing. You know, it's just all of this
Yeah.
that I realized definitely prepared me for this role.
Well, and you have so much experience, under your belt in this industry. But I wanted to ask you because we mentioned your previous reality experience, and I'm calling this episode the remix, just because I
Yes.
feel like you've had, like when you said your cat, like it's you do have 9 lives. Like you have been in the country scene, in the pop scene, in kind of like the not EDM, but in the like dance scene, as far as music is concerned. And so you've shifted. I don't want to say you're shapeshifter because you've maintained your
A million, maybe.
you've had it, you've taken a way of keeping yourself true to yourself, but also reinventing. I feel like when you've had to pivot. So where do you get that from? Because there are a lot of people who listen who might say, I don't know, when COVID hit, like what do I do? How do I pivot? When the market shifts, how do I respond? Like what do you think is the best way to kind of reassess yourself and then take a moment and go to the next place? Like what's your process?
That's so powerful, and I definitely went through that, and I could sense in my inner being that a shift was coming. I mean, I was approaching 40, which happened this year, and then it's not that scary. It really isn't. And I think internally I was even adjusting myself, like, what am I really wanting? Because life goes by so fast. What have I already accomplished? What can I say I feel thankful for, and a bucket list? And you know, I don't need to try to repeat and reciprocate like what has already happened. Like there's also, I think, a danger in the entertainment industry where we have successes, and because they were attainable, we need to go after those again, and they become our target again because we knew how to get there in the first place.
Mhm.
And that can get you stuck as well. But so it was more of an internal journey I went on. I actually hired a life career coach at one point, just to kind of talk out my thoughts and my voice. I felt like I was kind of losing my voice and what I was wanting. You know, I'm married, been married for 17 years. I've had, great journey in music, but music was also kind of my other relationship, and all the relationships inside of that. So really music became who I was, and an entertainer and a dancer. And I'm like, but that's not me. Like that's what I have done and what I do. But so we're so wrapped up in what the day in day out training and the blood sweat and tears to accomplish these goals that I know I have so much knowledge in this industry. Okay, I could go on and maybe coach in this industry. I'm like, I don't really have that desire. I could be a dance teacher. I love kids, but I don't have the desire to be a full-time dance teacher, open dance studio. So I really had to weigh my own internal wants and be okay with possibly letting some people down. and not, out of ill intent, just out of, you do need to unselfishly make sure you think about yourself, because in
Yeah.
20 years, 30 years, not everyone in your life today is going to be in your life tomorrow, because you're never promised tomorrow. So
Right.
all of these swarming thoughts, and you can always get with your friends and hash out things over a bottle of wine or two, or your family, but they're usually gonna like lean towards your wants or maybe their wants for you. And so that's why a personal life coach counselor was not prejudiced in any means. They just were meeting me for the first time, and they got to really just help me put my boundaries, find my voice. Even with my husband, we
Yeah.
dug into, I realized I didn't want kids, and at least my own. I'm more
Yeah.
open to adopting. And that was a conversation we had, and that discovery I made through that journey as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's definitely taking the time to focus and understand journaling. I used to hate journaling, but now I do it every day, almost. And it
Yeah.
just really helps you shift through, okay, what am I just saying for other people
Mhm.
that they want me to say? And what am I really intending? And yeah, that was
Yeah. Well, so I mean, there was so much in that I'm just like I'm learning so much. But I remember chatting with you, I think on email years ago. It was maybe in the like 2012-ish, and you were looking for a business to run at that point. And I feel like you were doing a little digging and searching at that point. And so when you came upon this idea with, kind of hashing it out with your brother, what's the first thing you did? Because I know there's a lot of people who, listen who, maybe are new business owners, like I said, but don't know the first thing to do. Like, what was the first thing you did when you were like, yeah, that's a great idea? What do you do
Yeah,
next?
absolutely. I mean, the idea that there was nothing else out there like this was
Mhm.
number one, okay, this is a good idea. So it was just kind of baby steps to test the market.
Mhm.
Because we're a streaming platform, we, took smart risks. So we started out with a white label solution to test our streaming platform to see if there was even a stickiness in the market. For me, I knew my role was evolving into acquisitions and going after licensing, because that was very similar to what I understood in the music industry and reading
Mhm.
contracts. And I had still an amazing industry lawyer who's still by my side to this day. He's one of the best things that happened to me in this world. He's great. So I really dug in to learn what I could, because though there's a system I knew about music and where the rights laid and how payouts happened, but then there's a whole other structure inside of publishing, and then you have inference, and then you have territory rights, which music does too. But so just understanding all the complexities and gaining
Mhm.
wisdom. So
Mhm.
finding those mentors or those people that are in your field or the field you want to go into, listening
Mhm.
to podcasts. I love Guy Raz's podcast, How I Built This. He also has Wisdom from the Top. So many great nuggets of wisdom,
Mhm.
that even if it's not in your field,
Yeah.
you will definitely garner something from it.
Yeah. Well, so you you dug in, you
Yeah.
learned a lot. You went The one thing that I took from that is you didn't say no to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that a lot of people do when they don't know if it's a great idea or they don't know if it will stick. They go, I'm not going to try because it's either too scary or they don't know what's going to happen. Like, what if it does stick? Like, then what do I do? So I'm happy that you went like, I'm just going to do it, like full speed ahead.
Yeah.
What is something that, two things that, or two or three things that you think are the keys to your success in this particular field?
Just the wisdom and experience I gained in the music industry. Never did I ever imagine I could apply it into such a different world. It's similar, but it's so different.
Mhm.
Um, and then, honestly, my faith gets me through every day. And I feel like so thankful for this new experience and the chance that I have to walk into another chapter. I know that doesn't open itself up for everyone always. But I was also searching for it for quite a while internally, and I was ready for that shift. So I think it is scary, but
Mhm.
gosh, it's never going to feel, oh here comes another cloud. Let me just jump on it. Like, it's never going to feel like, to me, like even making the band and when I did Fame with Debbie Allen and like
Yeah.
all the different country music, all the random stuff I've done, it's always been a bit of a step of faith of like, I'm gonna try this, and if it doesn't work, that means it wasn't meant for me. And sweet, that means there's something better. Because I thought that was gonna be really good, but if that doesn't happen, that must mean there's something even better for me. So I
Yeah.
really just relied on that, like, hey, I'm gonna do my best, and if it doesn't work, I did my best, and I gave it
Right.
my all, and something else will come along. Yeah.
Well, so are because I know you had said that you're adding the text and you're doing some of the animation, and are you voicing some of the books yourself?
I actually have voiced more than I even realized.
I was
uh,
wondering because I had heard a few, but I'm like, is she doing it? Is she?
it's funny. There's a one. The first one I did was called "Where Are You," and it's this cute little Is and Norb characters, and we're actually expanding on the series. And that was my first go to moment. And I always wanted to do VO work, but it is definitely hard. It's definitely
Yeah.
challenging to come up with all these characters. And then there's a great company called Slumberkins. They do these beautiful little plush toys, but they are educators and counselors and therapists by trade. So they've
Mhm.
created these social and emotional kind of characters and stories that you can get kids to like connect with different like angry feelings or scared. And one's called Sleepy Sloth. And I voiced that, and my team's like, yeah, when I need to go to sleep, I just listen to Shannon's version of Sleepy Sloth. And I'm like, great, I put you to sleep. That's nice. Okay, I have a soothing voice. All right, let's move on. But it's been fun. I haven't been able to do as many lately because we've got some great talent.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I wondered. I'm like, she's got a great voice. I wonder if she's putting it to use in that genre. So
Now we have Kate Winslet on a title, so I've kind of been outshine in the VO
okay.
world.
Nice. Um, well, so I wanted to ask you because I know that you have so many stories that you could tell,
Yeah.
backstage stories. But so what is one that you can tell us about, an experience that maybe you took with you, whether it might have been terrifying, I don't know if you've been hanging from the stage somewhere, or if you have something that's inspiring, or, just one of those moments that you think back and you're like, wow, that happened.
Gosh, I think I have one from each category, multiple ones from each category. I think the most like awe-inspiring, like heart, like filling moments are that connecting with the audience.
Yeah.
And when the fans are singing, and then you're there and you're connecting and you're touching them, and you're like, yay, I worked hard and this is for you. Like, you're sharing a piece of all your hard work. There's just they have such an appreciation, and just you can feel that. So just soaking in those moments on stage. There's probably many pictures of me just standing and looking and breathing. And it's funny because
Yeah.
Lori Ann, who was our choreographer for Danny Kane, had mentioned like, you don't always have to be moving. You don't always have to have every little count hit and da. She's like, look at Michael Jackson. Look at Janet. Even
Mm.
Janet does it too. Like, there's just this presence and like just absorbing that moment. And there's such a powerful thing that happens when you allow yourself to be still. And when you allow yourself to be still on stage in front of thousands, it's this interesting, just climatic moment that I got it. It clicked for me, and it makes you also appreciate that moment.
Yeah.
There's so many times when we were walking to Madison Square Garden stage, or before my first game as a Blazer dancer, like before walking out of the big, arena, and just
Mhm.
purposefully taking it in, smelling the smell and hearing the sounds, and just being still. So that's definitely a big one for me.
Nice. Well, so she is agreeing to stick with us for extra bite. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the episode on Sweet Bites with Sandra, and we will be right back. Tune in every Thursday to satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth with me, Sandra Colton Medici, on Sweet Bites with Sandra.